The air crackled with tension, a palpable sense of anticipation hanging over the room like a storm cloud ready to burst. A hush fell over the courtroom, the kind of silence that only comes when something monumental is about to happen. All eyes were fixed on the defendant, Sean "Diddy" Combs, a titan of the music industry. Known to millions simply as Diddy, he was a man who had built an empire on talent, charisma, and an unrelenting drive. He sat there, a stoic figure in a tailored suit, facing accusations that could crumble his empire. His expression was unreadable, a mask of calm in the face of a storm. This wasn't about hit songs or million-dollar deals. This was a trial that delved into the darkest corners of human behavior. This was about human trafficking, exploitation, and the dark underbelly of fame. The charges were severe, painting a picture of a world far removed from the glitz and glamour of the music industry. The trial was a spectacle from the start. The courtroom was packed with media, every seat filled, every eye watching intently. Cameras flashed, reporters scribbled furiously, and social media exploded with each new revelation. The world was watching, and every detail was being scrutinized. At the heart of it all was a simple question. Could a man who had achieved such dizzying heights also be capable of such depravity? The allegations were shocking, and the evidence presented was damning. The world watched, captivated by the unfolding drama. News channels broadcasted every moment, and people everywhere were glued to their screens, eager to see how it would all unfold. The weight of the accusations was immense. The courtroom was heavy with the gravity of the situation, every word spoken carrying significant weight. Human trafficking, a modern form of slavery, preys on the vulnerable. It is a crime that strips away humanity, leaving scars that last a lifetime. It was a far cry from the glitz and glamour that had come to define Diddy's public persona. The contrast was stark, a reminder of how different reality can be from the image presented to the world. The prosecution was determined to prove that behind the charming smile and the carefully crafted image lay a predator. They presented their case with precision, each piece of evidence meticulously laid out. The defense, in turn, was prepared to mount a vigorous fight, painting a picture of a man wrongly accused. They argued that the evidence was circumstantial, and that Diddy was a victim of his own fame. Rumors had circulated for years. In the dimly lit back rooms of the music industry, hushed conversations hinted at a darker side to the glitz and glamour. These were not just idle gossip, but persistent murmurs that refused to fade away. Whispers of Diddy's controlling behavior, his iron grip over his empire, and the lengths he would go to maintain his dominance were common. His public persona was one of success and charisma, but behind closed doors, a different story was unfolding. His alleged exploitation of young artists followed him like a shadow. These young talents, full of dreams and aspirations, found themselves ensnared in a web of manipulation and control. They entered the industry with hopes of making it big, only to find their dreams turned into nightmares. But these whispers had always remained just that. Whispers, confined to the shadowy corners of the music industry, that is, until now. The veil of secrecy was about to be lifted, and the truth was on the verge of being exposed. The trial brought those whispers into the harsh light of day, forcing a reckoning that many had tried to avoid. The courtroom buzzed with tension as the allegations were laid bare, and the world watched with bated breath. The prosecution alleged that Diddy had used his power and influence to coerce young men and women into exploitative situations. They painted a picture of a man who wielded his authority like a weapon, preying on the vulnerable and the hopeful. These allegations painted a disturbing picture of a man who viewed others as pawns in his game of wealth and power. The courtroom drama unfolded like a high-stakes chess match, with every move scrutinized and every piece strategically placed. The prosecution argued that these were not isolated incidents but rather a pattern of behavior that spanned years. They presented a mountain of evidence, each piece adding to the damning narrative of manipulation and control. Key to the prosecution's case was the concept of grooming. They meticulously detailed how Diddy would identify his targets, build their trust, and then exploit their dependence on him. They argued that Diddy systematically targeted individuals, often from disadvantaged backgrounds, who were eager for a break in the cutthroat music industry. These young hopefuls, desperate for a chance, were easy prey for someone with Diddy's resources and influence. He would shower them with attention, gifts, and promises of fame and fortune, only to later exploit their trust and vulnerability. The glittering promises were nothing more than bait, luring them into a trap from which escape seemed impossible. The prosecution presented witnesses who claimed that Diddy controlled their finances, their movements, and even their personal relationships. These testimonies painted a chilling picture of a man who sought to dominate every aspect of their lives, leaving them with little autonomy or hope. The courtroom fell silent as Cassie Ventura took the stand. A hush fell over the room, the weight of her testimony hanging heavy in the air. A singer and model, Cassie had once been romantically linked to Diddy. Now she was a key witness for the prosecution, her words carrying the potential to either destroy a man's legacy or set a precedent for justice. Cassie's voice trembled as she began to speak, her eyes downcast. She described a relationship that started with promise but quickly descended into a nightmare. She alleged that Diddy was controlling and possessive, isolating her from her friends and family. Her testimony painted a chilling portrait of a woman trapped in a web of fear and manipulation. The heart of Cassie's testimony revolved around a harrowing incident in 2016. She described a violent assault that took place in a hotel room, an ordeal that left her physically and emotionally scarred. Her words were graphic, her pain palpable. The courtroom listened, rapt, as she recounted the terror of that night, the feeling of utter helplessness. The prosecution's case hinged on a piece of damning evidence, a video of the 2016 hotel assault. This video was not just any piece of evidence, it was the linchpin that could make or break the entire case. The prosecution had built their argument around it, believing it to be the irrefutable proof of the crime that had taken place that fateful night. Referred to as the freak-out video, it had been the subject of much speculation and rumor. For years, whispers about its contents had circulated, creating an air of mystery and dread. People had heard snippets, seen blurry screenshots, but no one outside the legal teams had seen the full footage. Its existence had haunted Cassie for years, a constant reminder of that nightmarish experience. Every time she closed her eyes, she could see flashes of that night, the fear and helplessness washing over her anew. The video was a ghost from her past, one she could never escape. Now, it was about to be shown to the world. The courtroom was filled with a tense anticipation, everyone holding their breath as the projector screen flickered to life. This was the moment of truth, the unveiling of a dark secret that had been hidden for too long. As the lights dimmed and the video flickered to life, a collective gasp filled the courtroom. The air was thick with shock and disbelief as the grainy footage began to play. It was as if time had stopped and all eyes were glued to the screen. The grainy footage captured by a security camera showed a side of Diddy that the public had never seen before. This was not the charismatic, polished figure they knew from the media. This was a man consumed by rage, his face contorted in anger. He was enraged, out of control, a stark contrast to his carefully cultivated image. The video laid bare the raw, unfiltered truth, shattering the facade he had so meticulously built over the years. The video showed him physically assaulting Cassie, his anger terrifying in its intensity. Each frame was a testament to the violence and brutality of that night, leaving no room for doubt about what had transpired. The impact of the video was immediate and visceral. Gasps and murmurs filled the room as the reality of the footage sank in. It was a powerful, undeniable piece of evidence that left an indelible mark on everyone who saw it. It was impossible to watch without feeling a sense of shock and disgust. The raw emotion captured in the video was palpable, and it stirred a deep sense of outrage and empathy among the viewers. The defense tried to downplay its significance, arguing that it was taken out of context and did not tell the whole story. They claimed that the video was misleading, a mere snapshot of a much more complex situation, but their words rang hollow in the face of such damning evidence. The video spoke for itself, and no amount of legal maneuvering could erase the images that had been seared into the minds of the jury and the audience. The video was a turning point in the trial, a stark reminder that even the most powerful figures are not above the law. It underscored the importance of accountability and justice, serving as a powerful testament to the courage of those who stand up against abuse and violence. In the early hours of dawn, the first shots were fired, marking the beginning of a fierce confrontation. The air was thick with tension as both sides braced themselves for the inevitable clash. It was a moment that would be remembered for years to come, a pivotal point in the unfolding saga. The opening salvos, though just the start, set the stage for what would become an intense and dramatic battle. The city, once united by its love for music, now finds itself divided. Tensions rise as rivalries grow stronger and the streets echo with uncertainty. How did we get here, and what does this mean for the future? Sean "Diddy" Combs, a titan in the music industry, faces challenges that threaten to dismantle his empire. With mounting pressures and internal conflicts, can Diddy navigate these turbulent times and maintain his reign? Hip-hop stands at a crossroads. This moment, pivotal and transformative, will shape the genre for years to come. Artists and fans alike hold their breath, waiting to see how this chapter will unfold. What lies ahead for hip-hop? In the end, justice must prevail. The quest for truth and accountability drives forward, undeterred by obstacles. Those who seek justice will not rest until it is achieved. The journey is long, but the goal is clear.